I wanna take you for a ride. I wanna take you for a
Welcome to Kick Scammers, the show where we look at the absolute worst Kickstarters, Indiegogos, GoFundMes, and everything else in between. We look at the scams, we look at the projects that run away with your money, we look at the projects that actually cause harm to the backers, the disturbing campaigns, the projects that overhype, and from time to time, the downright weird. And on today's episode, we're going to be chatting briefly about the destined to fail GoFundMe, but more importantly, the weird and disturbing story of the person behind it, Jasmin Tridevil. Now, of course, I don't need to tell you guys that the name Tridevil isn't on the birth certificate, but Jasmin is. Alicia Jasmin Hessler is her full name, and Tridevil, well, that's there because this lass has got 3 boobies. Now, guys, like I said, we are obviously going to be talking about the GoFundMe that's at the end of the episode, because obviously that links it to the Kick Scammer series. But the real interesting part of this story is everything leading up to that GoFundMe. Why would someone have surgery for this? Reductions, enlargements, for medical reasons? Hey, each to their own, but still. Getting a plastic surgeon to surgically enhance young Jasmin in order to get a third breast is a little far, as I'm sure the majority of you will agree. So let's answer the question. Why did she do it? How did she get someone to agree to do it to her? What happened behind the scenes? And of course, what was the GoFundMe for? Strap yourself in, guys, because this is the story of Jasmin Tridevil. Welcome to Slope's Game Room. So let's start off with how this all began. Back in mid-2014, where a young Florida-based massage therapist named Alicia Jasmin Hessler spent $20,000 on surgery to get that third breast implant. She had shot to fame, as in internet fame, when images of her modelling in front of the mirror with that third bosom on display in said shots, and everybody that saw it was in awe. Yep, that scene out of Total Recall, or that lass in American Horror Story, is now a reality in the real world too, because Alicia here had gone and done it. But the big question is, was it real? Well, according to an interview with Real Radio 104.1, it was.
Radio like it ought to be. On the street. Real Radio 104.1.
It was really hard finding someone that would do it because they're breaking the code of ethics, she said. According to this same interview, she had saved up for 2 years to get the money needed for the surgery, and on top of this, she had saved up just a little bit more in order to hire a film crew that were going to follow her around and film her, life, I assume, doing all these weird kind of things. What weird kind of things? Well, like for instance, before the whole third bust thing, she actually made headlines again a year prior by making a guy who reportedly beat her to wear a dunce hat and hold a sign at a busy intersection that reads, "I beat women, honk if I'm a scumbag."
I think it will teach him a lesson. I think that he'll think twice about doing it again.
The full story goes that she had gone for a few drinks with a few friends, and one Gabriel Urena on the way home had tried to grope her in the backseat of a car. She wasn't too happy about this, so she hit him, and in return he beat her repeatedly, apparently breaking her nose and giving her a concussion. This resulted in her calling the cops, but then having a change of heart, deciding to take matters into her own hands, and voila! You got a guy sitting on the side of the road with a sign for 8 hours that said, "I beat women, honk if I'm a scumbag," in exchange for her not pressing charges and most likely him serving time. In fact, it was because of all of the news stations that were covering this new free-breasted lass were actually able to put 2 and 2 together. It turns out that that lass was also the same lass that put the guy on the side of the road and put a dunce hat on him. Yep, they are the same person. So moving on. As stated, the internet and news outlets were going crazy arguing over Jasmin Tridevil. They had worked out her real name now because of these events, backed up even more by the fact that her website was registered to Alicia, and one news report actually managed to unearth the most damning of evidence against Jasmin when they got hold of a missing bag report that she had filed after her luggage went missing at an airport, and on the document it stated that a third breast prosthesis was in said luggage. Now, of course, Jasmin continued to deny that what she had done was fake and that it wasn't her fake boob, quite believably considering the quality compared to what she had on her body, but instead what was in the bag was actually for a fan who had paid her $500 to get a mold of her chest. Anyway, again, the most interesting part of this story was why. Why did she do it? Well, apparently, she gained one extra breast in order to become less attractive to men. I don't want to date anymore. Now look, I'm a bloke, I'm attracted to the opposite sex and everything that comes with it, so it's quite hard for me to believe that adding one more thing of something that us heterosexual males are attracted to is ever going to repel men. It's not my thing, but in fact, it's obvious that this was actually going to appeal to a lot more of a unique male heterosexual crowd. Who knows? Maybe this was her plan all along. Of course that was her plan all along. She was desperate to become famous, so desperate in fact that it's not out of the realm of possibility that someone like this would go and get herself a fake third boob in order to become famous. She had reportedly contacted 50 doctors before she found the one that was willing to do it. As stated, it cost her $20,000 and the plastic surgeon that had done it made her sign an NDA so she wasn't able to say his or her name or the surgery that did it.
A Tampa woman claims that she had surgery to add a third breast in the middle of her chest.
She claims she had surgery to have a third breast surgically implanted.
She didn't like the type of attention that she was getting, so she decided to take the problem into her own hands.
And get this, she says she did it so that men would be unattracted to her.
Hi, my name is Jasmin Tridevil, and I got a third breast implant.
She's an internet sensation. Are you faking it?
No, it's true. My surgery was recorded and it's going to be on my show. I figured people would be skeptical, but it's true. I actually recorded the surgery and it's going to be on my show.
And when we asked to see her third breast...
Can you hold it up a little longer so we can get a better shot of it?
I don't feel comfortable doing that just yet. Okay. Because that's also going to be on my show where I'm actually walking out on the beach with this top on. And I want to save that.
Okay, Jasmin says the only way the doctor would perform this surgery is if she didn't name him. Dr. Greenwald is highly skeptical, saying he doesn't see how it's physically possible because there isn't enough of a flush envelope for the implant. Jasmin says the proof is in the video, and you'll see it in her show.
Yep, her reality TV show, a show that she was desperately trying to get on the air, was indeed her endgame, and the big tease was indeed that third breast. So, she then went onto Facebook and wrote, "So I'm flying to New York to appear on the Inside Edition show this Monday, then going to be on the news, Jimmy Kimmel Show and Vice magazine. Oh, and a few radio shows." However, this was quickly thrown aside when the website Mashable reached out to the spokesperson of both shows and they denied that this was the case, with no interview having been done and no interviews being planned. Now, in her defense here, she had more haters, deniers, and people that really didn't like her by this point. And even though I'm not saying that these meetings ever did happen, what I will say is that, in my opinion, she probably was tricked by someone pretending to be from these stations just to get her hopes up. Anyway, before we get to the full reveal, let's chat about a few other stories that popped up regarding Jasmin Tridevil during this time while she was desperately trying to get that reality show on the air. Firstly, she had a slave. In fact, she had quite a few of them. According to a Q&A, Jasmin has no less than 11 men with tattoos of her name on them in different areas, and one of them actually lived with her in a cage, of course, in a dungeon, and apparently escaped after being locked up for 2 weeks, where it was revealed that she attempted to cut her name into his chest with a steak knife, and he has the scars to prove it. She, of course, denies that she did it, claiming that he did it to himself, and she only brought him into her home as a slave because he was homeless. Which is probably worse? Oh yeah, she also apparently died during this time, but that one obviously turned out to be fake. And also she started pumping out music videos too, which were very 9 Inch Nail inspired, but of course, badly inspired. And you see this right here? This is what you're getting to look at, guys, because no way am I showing those videos on this channel. They're extremely risky and they're very easy to find if you want to go and find them yourself. Tell her Slope sent you. But yeah, the real big question here, guys, was the third boob fake? And finally, we are about to find out. I'm sure it would come to the surprise of nobody when I tell you that Jasmin pretty much took any interview that she could get her hands on. She was desperate to be famous, and one interviewer by the name of Hans Hubner decided to finally put all of this to rest by recording Jasmin using a thermal camera. Now, for those that don't know, thermal cameras are used to show heat signals on whatever they are filming, with red or even white showing heat and blue and black not showing heat. You've probably seen these in black and white form on cop shows as they chase the bad guy through wooded areas, giving them nowhere to go due to the glow from the heat of the body. Well, one of those thermal cameras was used on Jasmin, and boom! No more hiding it at all. It was all fake. After this, the internet went into meltdown number 2, as the whole thing was proven once and for all that Jasmin had indeed been lying this whole time.
I know my tits are real, and I don't care what anybody thinks. The media is very corrupt. They were making up stories such as that I'm a professional hoaxer.
Her TV show, if it even existed, never got picked up, and she went into hiding, refusing to do any future interviews, and well, that was the end of that. Except, obviously, it wasn't the end of that, because as interesting as this story is, it has nothing to do with crowdfunding. Well, all of that changed on the 2nd of January 2019 when she opened up this GoFundMe. Her YouTube channel had sprung back into action as well, with multiple videos showing her to be all sexual in her nature, giving advice on how to be dominant, explaining her actions for a few of the things that she had done, and best of all, actually showing how she applied that third breast to her body. She also uploaded videos explaining how she had grown attached to the third-breasted physique and was ready to finally get it done for real. That was what the GoFundMe was for, and she needed $70,000 in order to get it done. She had finally found a surgeon, again, who would remain nameless, and after doing a psychiatric evaluation, the whole thing could now finally go ahead. Of course, that figure of $70,000 was indeed too high, however, and although she was once the talk of the internet town, sadly for her, those days are finally over, as she was only able to bring in a shade over $1,200 from 30 donators, who at the beginning all got shout-outs on her channel.
And I want to take a moment to thank each and every one of my magnificent sponsors. Chris Peterson donated $5. Thank you very, very much. Tabitha H. also donated $5. Thank you. Ragnahild Him donated $20. Thank you.
And that's it. Very obvious that unless someone comes along and drops a significant amount of money, which to be fair could still happen, that Jasmin is simply going to not get that third breast that she so desires. However, all is not lost, as she does state in her final video for the channel as of the recording of this video that she will use the money to create another song and music video to accompany it, and if that's successful, then she'll use the money from that to finally get the boob. Judging by her previous performances, including the song You Will Be Raped, I'm guessing that that's not gonna do it.
Thank you. And last but not least, my highest donor by the name of Robert Gilmore, who donated $500. Thank you very, very, very much for your generosity. I am so lucky to have such amazing and wonderful supporters. Let me tell you why they are so incredible.